When?
Hello, I'm Glenn Bauer, and here to host another episode of the Next Step TVSB. The show is broadcast on Cable 17 in Santa Barbara city areas. It's not broadcast into areas that might be interested in this program today, such as the San Ynez Valley, but it is available on Ustream and YouTube. So if anybody's interested in either seeing, who wants to share this show with somebody else, or wants to see previous shows that we've done, if you'll Google The Next Step TVSB, you will get this show, we hope, and in addition to that, you can see the previous material that we've produced over the last several years here at the studio. Today we're going to talk about, as I sort of alluded to, a subject having to do with the San Ynez Valley area, and as the program itself on the screen says, the Chumash expansion and the impact that that has on the community. To discuss it with us is Kelly Gray. Kelly is a resident of the San Ynez Valley area and a community activist on behalf of the San Ynez Valley area. And she's here in the studio, and we're going to try to talk about some of the things that have led to the situation that finds us facing the impact that the Chumash plans are having on this community, this small community. Kelly, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's definitely an important issue because things are happening right now and blueprints are being drawn for things that are going to happen quite soon, and it is disconcerting.
It is. Let me just take a real brief time to talk about where we started here. This began, the present mushroom began as recently as 1990s when, year 2000, the California voters, by initiative, allowed Indian tribes, Native American tribes, to have the exclusive right to do Las Vegas-style gambling in California.
Right.
That was passed in 2000, and within 3 years, the Chumash had a casino up, and I think it was intense in the beginning, but they had a gambling edifice going, and very shortly after that, they built a hotel, the floor, casino gambling floor, and whatnot. We have on the, I think we can have back there a picture, aerial photograph of the Chumash footprint in the immediate San Ynez area, and if we can get that on the screen, would be helpful. While we're waiting for that, there it is. That shows how the Highway 154 and the San Ynez Valley. Now, the Chumash tribal space is pretty small.
I'm going to actually correct you. I think that's 246.
I'm sorry, 246.
Right off of 154. It
is the one that goes immediately in front of the casino.
Right.
You know, I said it with certainty, but I was feeling doubtful when I said it. I know better. Anyway, yes, correct me. But this is the physical plant as it exists, and with highlighted in colors the plans for expansion, which we're going to talk about. But that occupies a huge part of the tribal property, does it not?
Yes, it's pretty much taken up the majority of the usable property there.
Because
and
a lot of it's hills and
then of course it backs up. The airport is just right there, so there's not much more that could be built on that property.
Well, looking at the map or the topographical aerial view, we see that the white is the existing plans, and the colored spots are the expansion plans that they now want to add to the casino that they built pursuant to California initiative, allowing them to gamble, to have exclusive control over gambling in this area. Many people in the community, when this first building went up, were chagrined by the impact it had, by the physical impact.
Well, it was completely different from anything else in the valley. It didn't try to be part of the valley or blend in or have any kind of appearance that enhanced the beautiful terrain around it. It was made its own gigantic statement.
Sometimes when you travel across the country and you see Native American gambling or Indian gambling, tribal gaming, you see these facilities they build, and they're intended to be noticeable.
Right.
I mean, I think that's part of the dynamic of the design. They want to stick out so people see it as they come to it, and it's in a beacon. It's a way of attracting customers.
Well, your beacon point is one of the light pollution from the existing casino.
Yeah.
I mean, you start to see this mound of light just as soon as you come over the pass. You can start to see it, and the stargazing is just plain
well, the existing
challenged.
hotel, the white part of that plan, and whatnot, as I remember, if I have the data, is 106 guest rooms, 17 suites, and about 45,000 or 50,000 feet of gambling floor, square feet of gambling floor. The new marked colored that we had on there is going to build this, and this. Now, the one that you had at the tower, this is what's coming on top of where those parts are. You're going to see the new building, and that's going to be the tower, which is going to double the size, more than double the size of the room size, and the gambling, and almost double the gambling floor size. And you're going to see a 12-story high tower rising out of this small space that is already congested, and impacting a community of how many thousand people?
Oh, 3,000, 4,000 just in that part of St. Inez that works back and forth in that area.
Right.
And that the tower is offensive by itself, but it's my understanding that there's going to be a pool on the roof, which means that there'll be lights up there as well. So
Can we go back to the tower on the background screen if we can? I'd like to talk about that a bit, because one of the things, talk about, I don't really want to get into this kind of squabbliness with the Chumash or any tribal effort to improve itself, because when I first came to Santa Barbara, I would agree. They were living in bad circumstances.
Squalor, yes.
And the right to improve themselves and make something that's good. But to do it, I think, in such an aggressive way, without real consideration of the neighborhood impact, because people have to remember that this is way off the beaten track. We're not talking about Highway 5, Interstate Highway 5,
right.
Or these are back roads in a small county, and they're attracting a lot of traffic. This picture here, which, I'm sorry, yeah, there we go. Thank you for that cleverness. That helps a lot. That's the new building that is going to show the 12-story towers rising above. The lower building is already there, already quite visible, and the new building is going to rise above it. And the Attorney General of California got involved in this, tried to get involved in this with Kamala Harris, and as I remember, she challenged the tribe and said this building didn't really adequately consider the visual impact or the potential impact it had on like water use and other things. And that's why I'm saying I want to get involved into a squabble with them, but the response of the tribe was that it won't clash aesthetically because it's part of the existing
It matches the existing.
It matches the existing building, which is already pretty ugly. Certainly doesn't match anything else in the neighborhood.
No.
And also they said, this is the part that I thought was really interesting, enhanced landscaping would shield it from view. Now, how you can shield a 12-story tower with a swimming pool and lights on the roof by landscaping, I mean, those are going to be some pretty big trees.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. There's nothing that's going to block that. In fact, it's going to serve as its own beacon. And the sad thing about it is, as we talked about government officials trying to discuss the issue with them, and there basically is no way that I could involve myself in something that's going on in a tribal meeting. I have absolutely no nexus to come in on that. However, the Chumash who live on the reservation are registered voters, and when I was working a polling station in Santa Inez, Vince Artmena, chairman of the tribe, and Vice Chair Kenneth Kahn came to the station I was working, and they were entitled to receive the exact same ballot that everyone else had, which included state and local measures, not just federal matters. So it's like a giant win-win or lose-lose, depending on
Well, that's the
who's hired.
frustration, I think, of this circumstance. Like I say, many of us have the guilt of historic mistreatment of the native population, the tribal populations, but you do want to have the feeling that you're going to engage in an adult conversation, and it won't be just one-sided. And there is, along the lines of what you're just saying, you can't walk into the tribal meeting and control or offer real change or input into what they have decided to do. And Mr. Armenta has been pretty aggressively in asserting that they will do what they want to do, and that they are, this 150 family group.
Right.
And I think that's something people should think about. It's 150 families, 146 families, which they have aggressively narrowed. By the way, we won't get into that. No. But 146 families apparently are making policy that's going to impact 400,000 people in the county, and maybe millions of people in the Southern California area who are drawn to this attraction. Intentionally drawn to this attraction by what it offers. And that is a frustrating experience.
That's a frustrating experience already, and Glenn, to make it worse, the Chumash have 2 casino licenses. They've already used one. They've already built out that land. Camp 4, the 1,400 acres that's across, it's 154 just above 246.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a moment. Okay. Go ahead. Go on with what your thought is. I want to talk about that, and we'll get a picture of it.
It's pristine land right now, and
there's the map.
There's the, okay, yes. If that goes into trust, there's nothing that we can do to stop whatever the Chumash want to build there, whether it's use their other casino license or who knows what.
We can speculate a lot about that, and we will in a moment. Let me talk a little bit again about the frustration of people trying to negotiate with the tribe. The county, Santa Barbara, attempted to have a discussion with the tribe about mitigation effort and some type of compensation, not about Camp 4, but just about this expanded casino. Traffic, they turned down Attorney General Harris's complaints, and they apparently are also in the process of denying anything the county has offered. I think they offered half a firefighter salary or a couple token for 4 or 5 years.
And a fire truck.
And a fire truck.
With the ladder, because there wasn't one to reach their tower.
It would be so high. But meanwhile, the county will deal with the impact of. Does anybody done a traffic analysis to understand how much traffic this casino generates?
The existing one?
Yes, or the new one.
Yeah, I have. I'm not familiar with anything.
I couldn't find anything.
I couldn't find anything either. And with that new roundabout that's going to be where you kick off to go to the Camp 4 area, I mean, it's a challenge to drive the pass anyway.
Well, it is, and obviously on a 2-lane highway going over the pass, basically a 2-lane highway going over the pass, which is 20 miles or so shorter than 101 and Solvang, or going through Solvang and 101, there's going to be traffic impact. And that's got all kinds of consequences, and that's being denied, as far as I can tell. No acceptance of responsibility for that. And of course, this is traffic that's likely to be on the pass at darkness, early morning, other time of day, and there's no real public transportation to and from that location.
No, I mean the casino has several buses, and I've seen them picking up passengers to go and gamble up at the casino from down here in Santa Barbara at some of the hotels and other areas, but there's nothing that can be done to mitigate the impact that's going to happen on the pass.
A 500-room hotel, was it? I had it down here. It's a lot bigger than it was.
Right.
A lot bigger. And then we know a bit about their increase in their alcohol license rules. But all that aside, what I think is frustrating again is that there is no seemingly give and take or willingness to be a good neighbor in the sense of we all are going to live in this environment.
Right.
And it's going to have impact on us, like you said, light pollution, traffic generation, and to try to mitigate this. And now we have this Camp 4 issue. And I think you referred to it. In the same short period of time, this 15 or 20 years, the Chumash, since they got the money from the casino operation, have been able to get, reach out and try to buy more land. I don't mind that. And they bought this land from Fess Parker.
Right.
And it's about 2 miles. Yeah, we'll go back to the screen in front, like you had it in front. That was nice. And the bluish area there on the map is the existing casino tribal land. Up in the right-hand corner is outlined in sort of red is Camp 4. And you can see it's a much, much larger piece of property than the existing tribal areas. And the tribe says they want this land to build housing for their tribal members.
They've said not only their tribal members, but future generations to come. When they've done public presentations, they've had 4 different maps that they've offered to the community to see which one they like the most, of where the community center, which has, I think, 400 parking spaces, designed to have 400 parking spaces, but which configuration we like the best. And not one of the 4 plans has any line marking an area preserved for building housing for future generations.
So they're just building one plot. They're building a certain amount of housing right now.
But that's for the...
But that's not occupying all the land.
Oh, no. That's just in a small portion of the land, at least on the plans. I would say it's, an eighth of the project. And then there's the community center, which I think it was 400 car parking lot.
What is the community concern about the intended future of this land? Is there a feeling that they want to unify the Camp 4 properties with the existing tribal reservation properties?
Well,
and across that band?
I perceive that as being what the objective is. And I see it being built out in any way that for-profit can accomplish for them.
And it also removes this from tax rolls, from the rest of the county tax rolls.
Right, huge impact on the schools and on all of the infrastructure that's paid for by the county for us.
And just to be sure that we understand this, the Chumash families and children do benefit and use government, California state and county services.
Oh, definitely. I've do some special ed work, and I've worked with some of the Chumash students, and delightful human beings.
Of course they are. I mean, they're nice people.
But I'm saying it's they do take advantage.
So is there any sense do you sense anything the offers the Chumash have made that I have seen have been things like a ladder truck or a half a firefighter salary or a 4-year tax credit to give to the county for, like I say, for 4 or 5, 10 years maybe. Not a permanent commitment to participate in the ongoing funding of county government and the other impacts. Is there any sense that are they feeling that there's something that the community can do to stop this or to change the tide?
Well, I think that they need to really deal with the federal government and their representatives in the federal government. Congressman LaMalfa from Northern California has introduced a bill in Congress to have the legislature take the Camp 4 from fee into trust. He's not voted for by anyone that's going to be affected. He has no connection with the community, but he's the one that's initiated this
Well,
legislation.
yeah, just to make sure that people understand, this is a representative in a district up in northern central California that has no Native Americans, I think, in his jurisdiction, but he's getting a lot of money from Native American political power systems and the one thing he seems to be most interested in is the survival and expansion of the Chumash, 500 miles from his bailiwick.
Right.
And there's nothing you can do to vote against or for him. You can't throw him out of office if you don't like what he does.
Right, right. And his constituents aren't going to be impacted by it, so they wouldn't be voting him out of office for that.
Possibly.
Right, right.
Yeah, so that's frustrating. Where does this fee to trust issue stand right now?
Well, it's right now it's in a non-movement state, with the exception of the La Malfa action. In fact, recently, or just on November 4th, Chairman Armenta sent a letter to Doreen Farr and Supervisor Farr and Supervisor Adam. I'm happy that the progress wasn't going as swiftly as they wanted it to. And in fact, he says, this is from Chairman Armenta, I'm increasingly concerned that this progress is destined to fail. And he looks at everything that's been going on and trying to make this work for all communities is just going to go into another forum for deeply misguided anti-tribal individuals to personally attack me and Vice Chairman Hahn. Again, not addressing the issue.
It's a defensive ad hominem, and they don't want to talk about the issue, the quality of the issue, but they want to talk about the personalities, the people making it personal.
Right.
But is it possible that the county in any way can stop the transfer? Or is it something that is dependent upon the legislature and the federal government? The Bureau of Indian Affairs, I think, has already approved this.
Oh, yes, the BIA has definitely pushed this through on a very fast track. Mm-hmm. And so now they need the federal government to come in and confirm.
Okay. So we were talking about the reason for this. One of the reasons, the tribal leaders give for buying this large piece of property and trying to transfer it into tribal control as part of a reservation or whatever term would be used, is that they need room for the people, the families that live there now allegedly do not have a place to live, except the hotel. I suppose they could live in the hotel. I don't know if they'll do that, but there are a lot of staterooms, suites in there. But the other thing is to build rather nice, large pieces of lots, and each of them, I guess, each of the families would have a nice piece of property that they could permanently go back and live on and have their families live on it in future, leaving a large of that. There's a lot more land than that would need.
Right.
There is a second casino license issue that you mentioned,
yes,
which conspiracy. There's this feeling that maybe they want to build a casino over there on the highway that's even more well-traveled.
I can't imagine what would be a disincentive to them to not use that second license. It's just going to generate more money. Mm-hmm. And from the attitude that they've taken about the impact that it has on the community, I don't see that there's any reason why they wouldn't do that.
Well, one of the other things is in trying to find information about this whole subject, which is difficult.
Very
I'm surprised how hard it was to find anything. One of the things I'm trying to find is where do the Chumash get their water? And I know there's a creek that runs through that property most of the time, not always, but most of the time, and they get water from that. But they don't, and they are right on. They did a water study a few years ago, and they're on what they call the San Ynez Aquifer.
Right.
And they're also a member of the San Ynez Water District.
Right.
Participant in that. But in reading this report that they had produced...
Well, actually, they have established their own facilities for...
recycling.
Recycling.
Yeah, but that produces that only recycles the water they
Right.
get.
Yes.
But if they're going to have a 500-room hotel,
Yeah.
and 80% of their energy use went into the hotel before the expansion for the tribal. Now it's going to be even higher. Another 10% was in the restaurant. And this is going to be even higher now because it's going to be much larger and much more
Right.
demanding. But yes, the best they did with that recycling was good. They used
Yeah.
they recycled the sewage and whatnot, is it for water and irrigation and other purposes. But what I was finding, and I'm curious about this, in the study they had commissioned, it mentioned that they do have the potential, and there were 4 wells that they either tested or put in place. They go into the aquifer, but the aquifer at that point under their land as it exists now, where the casino is, according to this study as I read it, is very shallow.
That's correct.
And because it's shallow, it tends to dry out faster and doesn't have the potential water resource that other parts of the aquifer do. I suspect that, I would be nervous that the Camp 4 property, which sits on the other side of the highway and 2 miles northwest and much more into the heart of that aquifer, might be a much better source of water.
It has the single largest aquifer in the valley.
Now,
It's under Camp 4 is what I've seen on charts, and I could be wrong, but it's definitely...
so what rights do the natives have, or the tribal Indians have, to pump water? We went off the air. What rights do they have to pump water that would draw down water that other people in the community have a need of?
Oh, absolute rights. There was a federal court opinion, and it was from a state to the north of us. I can't remember exactly where it was, the opinion. I can get it back to you later if you want it. But there was a river that ran through a reservation and then down beyond the reservation to just regular hunting and fishing areas for other communities. And the tribe dammed up the river, and the government ruled, that the courts ruled that they had an absolute right to do that they weren't required to.
That's surface water, and I understand there's
Right.
some issues about surface water. There's also, but I'm just not quite clear. But my suspicion is, once they have that land under their tribal control, not just leased or owned,
Right.
they are not subject. I mean, this has been their state of thinking. They're an independent, equal government,
Right.
and therefore they're not subject to any kind of limits that others might have to agree to draw water out of the aquifer.
They're complete free hands, and anytime I see one of the water bottles, they have their own Chumash label on water bottles, and every time I see one of those, it just makes me think of the aquifer under the Camp 4 land.
That's my suspicion of what's going on here. So thank you. We're all quickly out of time. I want to thank Ali and Juanita back there for playing with those background screens and whatnot. I appreciate your being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
And we'll do it again maybe if we expand upon some of these developments as they occur. That would be interesting. I want to say to people, watch this show on YouTube or Ustream, and we enjoy doing it.